Xenoverse 2 is a Dragon Ball game developed by Dimps and published by Bandai Namco back in 2016. It is among the best-selling Dragon Ball games of all time and still has a popular fan base to this day. However, today we're going to be discussing a content creator on what may stand as their most controversial video series to date. That content creator is called Xenoverse, and their video is titled Community Rant Part 3, Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. Now, you might be asking why something as innocent as a rant video is worth the time of day to speak about. After all, it's just a video about someone addressing and criticising the things they like and dislike about a series they like, right? Well, yes and no. Yes, they do go into a lot of detail listing the many things wrong with the game in a competitive sense and how the community is a bit too insistent on wanting new things. But no, they devolve from talking about community and fall towards targeting specific Xenoverse content creators such as Nagoi and Stedoge, instead of sticking to their point and discussing the overall community in as much depth. In this video, I'm going to be listing my thoughts and opinions on their statements and opinions. But I'd also like to mention that as of recording this video, Xenoverse has since taken down their rant series due to the negative reception it got. But I still wanted to cover the points they made and discuss my thoughts on them. Although that means I won't have the actual video itself to record anything crucial I may have missed, so I do apologise for getting anything wrong, or if I misinterpret anything here. And once more, please just do not harass or send spiteful messages to Xenoverse. We're here to criticise, not crucify. There's a big difference here. Anyways, let's start out with the first topic of discussion, the community's demands and complaints. Since we don't have the video to reference from, let me summarise what Coffee says during this segment of the video. First off, Xenoverse 2 does not need an improved netcode because multiplayer was not the core focus of the game itself and never will be. Second of all, content for Xenoverse 2, both in-game and crafted by the community, is becoming more stale by the day. And lastly, the community is stupid for comparing modders to developers and also for complaining about the DLC characters being reskins. If there are any points I've missed, then once again, I apologise because I cannot refer to anything else right now other than the comments on the Twitter post. But let me start off with the first point and summarise my thoughts in a single phrase. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. Yeah, I know, it's a dead meme, but it does really apply here. While Xenoverse 2 never originally put focus on their competitive online game modes, it is clear they have noticed the massive appeal that the game has for online competitive modes. It's the reason why we've seen them try different online game modes revolving around PvP, such as Figure Colosseum and even the Crystal Boss raids. To put it in simple terms, Dimps are capitalising on an attractive quality that the game has developed over time, despite not being its original intention. This might be an extreme example, but think about COD Zombies. It was added as a secret mode in World at War and was considered a side mode for the longest time before it received massive acclaim. From there on, we saw Treyarch further develop the Zombies game mode with new content and ideas. It's the same sort of process. Dim's ranked mode and competitive scene in Xenoverse 2 is widely enjoyed despite its branding as an action RPG. Now let's move on to the next point, the Xenoverse 2 content. While I do agree that it is getting stale on both ends, there are a couple of arguments as to why you may feel this way. One of these arguments are quite simple. Dimps have run out of ideas as to what type of content they can produce for the game. Think about it, they've expanded the story numerous times now, crammed the game full of parallel quests, bloated the roster as big as they can, and more. Releasing characters with missions, story, and cosmetic content to promote them at average quality is a very safe move on Dimps' end. Especially considering how they are apparently working on Xenoverse 3 as we speak, according to DBS Chronicles. So for them to put up a source of income through Xenoverse 2 DLC and releasing the Breakers may simply just be a way for them to gather funds in order to work on Xenoverse 3 at a faster rate. Though this is all speculation, of course, I don't know what Dimps are up to. But from a business perspective, this would be the wiser move to make. As for the community's content, let me just ask you a question. What else are you supposed to do when you dictate your content to one singular game that's dying over time? It's the same situation as Grand Theft Auto Online channels. They are making content on a game that relies on content updates or mods in order to make unique content for their channels and social media. Because of how slow the updates arrive to Xenoverse 2, channels will either abandon the game until the next DLC drops, or pump live support into Xenoverse 2 through PC mods. But if you're not a fan of the clickbait content that's produced because of it, it is really just as simple as to either unsubscribe or hide their content from your recommended tab. If people want to make that content, the last thing they're going to listen to is someone complaining about it being clickbaity. It's not constructive criticism, and thus they won't give it the time of day. And finally, we come to the controversial claim of the video. The Xenoverse community is stupid for their demands and requests for the game's improvements, but also for comparing modders to developers. Let me just start out by saying this. Calling someone stupid is far from constructive criticism. You're just insulting them at this point. Instead, it's better to say something along the lines of, I think people are asking for features and updates that wouldn't impact the game in a positive way, but rather make the known issues that the game has unchanged or even worse. This way, you're not only just sticking to your point, but you're also ensuring that the general community you are ranting about are told a valid reason as to why you disagree with them. It's just as simple as that. Going back to the original point, I personally just don't think a community is stupid for wanting more diverse and interesting changes brought to the game. If people want to see Super Saiyan Blue Evolved Gogeta or Super Saiyan 3 Rose Goku Black into the game, they should be allowed to say that they want those characters, even if it seems impossible. You know, like Sora in Smash. People should be allowed to say that they want an improved online experience for a game they're competitively passionate about. Is what they want, is they love the game, so they want the game to be improved. They should also be allowed to be excited and anticipate for the next installment of a franchise they enjoy. That's just their opinion. Like, it's literally just as simple as that. It's an opinion. But I just don't really think it's right to criticize someone's own suggestions for the game to improve. I'd rather just disagree and say why, and not shoot down the suggestions and tell them why they shouldn't have made them. This brings us on to our next point, the modders versus developers debate. A content creator called Steedoge made a comment stating that Lazybone's transformation mods did a much better job at creating content for the game than the own developers of the game itself. Now, a lot of people disagree with this statement, but honestly, I can kind of see where Steedoge is coming from. Think about it from a different standpoint. Modders are usually individuals who make content for the game, with the exception of a few instances such as a revamp team. What I think Steedoge was trying to hint at, or at least trying to get across, is that he's impressed with how an individual is able to create high quality content for the game by themselves, in contrast to content that he views as mediocre, made by an entire development team at Dimps. Now again, I could be completely misinterpreting his statement, but that is what I gathered from his take. If I'm right, then I'll have to agree that it's impressive how much quality goes into the individual modder's content for Xenoverse 2. However, it doesn't make it any less wrong to say one is better than the other. Both sides are in different environments using different tools and resources to make content. Only true difference is that one is official and the other isn't. So while I do see why Steedoge thinks modded content is superior, I still think it's wrong to say one is superior over the other. Both sides create unique content in different ways, so I just think it's better to say that both modding and vanilla have their pros and cons respectively, and they don't reign supreme over the other, and vice versa. At last, let's move on to the largest chunk of the rant video, the Nagoi rant. Nagoi is currently an Xenoverse content creator that is known for making PvP and unscripted rant videos about the state of the game or its DLCs, which is something that Coffee repeatedly jabs into here, is how unprofessional Nagoi is when it comes to his rant videos. Yet, when I went onto Coffee's live stream shortly after the video to ask who wrote his video script, I was told that he barely wrote most of the video's script and that the Nagoi segment was completely unscripted. And that explained quite a lot of issues the rant video has, such as its pacing and format. But here's the thing, if you're going to criticize someone for making unscripted rant videos, please make sure you aren't doing the very thing you're criticizing, or at least a part of what you're criticizing. That is called hypocrisy, ladies, gentlemen, and non-binaries. Getting back on track, a lot of the ranting can be summed up as Coffee claiming Nagoi has absolutely zero clue what they are talking about, and that he's a fool for trying to convince people to boycott the DLC in order to get Xenoverse 3 faster. But let me just interrupt this point real quick to clarify something. So you want to slow down a company's income so they can get a product they need funds for out faster? Right, okay. Well, anyway, regardless, people are still going to buy DLC anyways. I mean, a lot of the 10 million players in Xenoverse 2 are children after all. You give kids an excuse to find mommy's credit card and they'll damn well do it. Coffee also tries to play the hypocrisy cards, such as Nagoi playing as a reskin he apparently hates, despite the fact he's obviously commentating over footage and not recording the commentary live. You can't just call someone a hypocrite for discussing his dislike for reskins and having one being shown in the commentary footage. If it was intentional, I'm sure he'd say something along the lines of, like the reskin you're seeing in the footage now, or, you know, something like that. Especially if his videos truly are unscripted as well, since improv is a huge part of commentary if you have no script to follow. Believe me, I've tried unscripted videos and it's probably the most unprofessional sounding set of videos I've ever released. So make sure you write scripts, they help. To cut things short, Coffee goes against Nagoi quite a lot throughout the video, and I think it blows the points that they made earlier on in their rant video. It was at this segment of the video where I truly began to suspect that this was unscripted purely because of how abruptly and long this particular segment was. So all in all, Coffee's rant against Nagoi has some good underlying points, but it's blurred and blinded by the overwhelming amount of anger, and even the unscripted rant midway through. It was really quite uncomfortable to sit through, and it completely dismissed their warning at the start of the video. Anyway, this makes for a great segment onto our next and final point. My criticisms of Xenoverse. I do want to start this off by stating the following things. Number 1, this is not an attack on your character, identity, race and whatnot. A lot of misconceptions with criticism towards creators is that it's fueled with bad intentions or ulterior motives, and it's spun as, oh, you're just criticising them because they're so-and-so. I want to go on the record and say that this criticism is founded on the video itself, not because of who Coffee is as a person, nor who they affiliate with. Number 2, this list of issues I have are founded on the intention to improve Coffee's content and future ranting videos. They aren't to bash, undermine, or dismiss any points they have made. The criticisms are there to help Coffee see where they have gone wrong with their rant video and see how they can improve for a potential part 4. Lastly, and I shouldn't need to say this any more than I have to, but please do not go after Coffee on social media. Criticism isn't an excuse to harass people, and if you do so, you only have yourself to blame for any repercussions that come of it. I'm not going to be held responsible because a bunch of funny people think it's clever to bully and harass another content creator. With that all said and done, let's get into the first and most obvious criticism. Write your scripts in full. Set a format, pace, and have a point to make. Even rants have an overall point to them. I couldn't tell what the overall point I was supposed to be taking away from the rant video was. Instead, format it in a way that is simple for the viewer to understand and give them a point to take away from the video. For example, you could make a video talking about McDonald's chicken nuggets are fantastic. All you need to do is structure the video with beginning, introduction to the topic, good side, bad side, and conclusion. It's a very simple way to improve your videos and help audiences keep up with your main point in an approachable way. Next up, I think you should try to use multiple sources to back up your claims and criticisms. Throughout the video, TFS review clip is the only one used to help emphasize your claim about Xenoverse 2 being an action RPG. I get that Team 4-Star, a group highly familiar with Dragon Ball, is a reputable group to get this claim from. Why not pull from other sources such as IGN or even ProJared? That way your point comes across as a majority opinion and not just one you formed from agreeing with another singular person's point. Lastly, and I cannot emphasize this enough, do not resort to insulting the people you talk about. You may not intend to insult them, but saying someone speaks out of their ass is practically insulting them since you're basically calling them a notorious liar. The Rick and Morty clip calling unpopular people stupid numerous times also made your video come across as spiteful rather than a video underlying the issues you have with the community. Other than that, I'd say you just needed to work on your points and do more research. In stream, you claim to have an entire Google Doc of information, but it was never made apparent that you had this in the video, and nor was it shown to further prove you did your research. Overall, the rant video is a mess, and if I'm being brutally honest, there needs to be more research, more time dedicated to pacing and writing, and more time finding genuine things to criticize, outside opinions, and so forth. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you in the next video.